Good afternoon. Thank you everyone for joining and welcome to today's webinar, Your Pension Options with Giant. Today we are joined by guest speaker Jaeson Humphries to talk all things pensions. But first I'll hand over to Giant's very own Jess Pike. Jess, over to you.
Thank you, Holly, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to start by running you through our pension options at Giant Group, and then I'll hand over to Jaeson. So we'll start by reviewing Nest pensions, and then we'll move on to salary sacrifice options. We'll also discuss the benefits of both salary sacrifice and moving across to our premium package. So here are your three pension options with Giant. The first is Nest, which is an automated workplace pension scheme, which I'll run through in the next slide. And then we have our salary sacrifice options. And salary sacrifice involves giving up part of your salary into a paid pension pot. We have a simple and stress-free setup process for our in-house with Standard Life, but you also have an external pension provider of your choice on the provision that they are already working with Giant. So as highlighted previously, Nest is the concept of a workplace pension was introduced to encourage workers to start building up retirement benefits earlier. In 2011, the Pensions Act made it compulsory for employers to auto-enroll eligible workers into a qualifying workplace pension scheme, and that started from October 2012. Our workplace pension scheme is with Nest, and automatic enrolment takes place after the 90-day deferment period has lapsed. So as long as you fulfill the criteria for opt-in, you will start to see deductions after 90 days. The criteria is that you're between the age of 22 and state pension age, and you earn more than £10,000 a year. In this current tax year, you will contribute 4% of your pensionable earnings, and the government adds another 1%, and then Giant will contribute a further 4% from the assignment income received from your agency. Pensionable earnings are based on basic pay, which is national minimum wage and holiday pay, as opposed to your total gross pay. And these deductions are retained per payslip and can be seen on both the invoice reconciliation and the payslip parts. So the process for setting up salary sacrifice. So if you're looking to maximise or increase your pension contributions in the most tax efficient way, a salary sacrifice scheme may be the better option for you. It's an arrangement where you give up a portion of your salary in exchange for an increased employer contribution to the pension scheme. For this reason, you should choose salary sacrifice with Giant. If you choose salary sacrifice with Giant, you'll be asked to sign what's called a salary sacrifice agreement. And this with salary sacrifice, you effectively reduce your pre-tax salary by a proportional amount, resulting in a reduction of your PAYE tax. As the salary sacrifice amount is retained prior to the calculation of your employer's national insurance and your employee gross pay, you'll find a reduction in both your employer's and your employee national insurance contributions. When paying an alternative provider, we recommend a monthly payroll, and this is due to direct debit mandates that must be decided between your provider and Giant. If you're looking to maximise your contributions, we will take the ownership of calculating your maximum amount, as we must ensure the monthly contribution does not reduce your cash earnings below national minimum wage. And that could compromise our ability to be able to process your payroll on time. We'll also provide you with quotes to illustrate the net amount of your contribution options. When using any of our existing external providers, setup can take up to 4 weeks to complete. And this is a result of the checks required by the external providers. You'll need to contact your pension consultant or submit all necessary forms required for establishing a new employer for this pension scheme. Please be advised that forms will need to be signed by our company directors, so may require additional processing time. Finally, please be advised that salary sacrifice with external providers will not start from your first payroll. We'll need to see a history of payments, so the salary sacrifice will typically begin from your second pay run. To establish contributions with any of our existing third-party providers, you'll need to send us the following details as a message via your employee portal. The first is the pension company name. The second is your pension reference number, and that's just the policy number with your provider. And thirdly, we will need your monthly percentage contribution amount. We'll also need a chosen payroll date. As advised already, we can only facilitate payments to an external provider when you're on a monthly payroll type. Therefore, you'd need to advise which day of the month you'd like your payroll processed. Finally, you'll need to confirm that the scheme is a qualifying pension scheme and will allow salary sacrifice payments, as we're not be able to continue with setup if your provider does not accept salary sacrifice. So our private pension scheme is only available through our premium package. And considering the ability to save hundreds of pounds on contributions, this would be a modest contribution for sizable benefits. The premium price tag allows Giant to deliver the level of service and infrastructure to facilitate pension payments to private providers. We also have included additional benefits such as Giant Advantage, which is a bonus benefit scheme, medical cover, in which you can take advantage of our 24-hour GP consultation service, a private prescription service, and also comprehensive and health and wellbeing overviews. The medical cover that we provide is BHSF, and within 1 month of registration to the premium package, you'll receive a welcome pack in the post from them. And you can also request an income and benefits review. On the screen, you can see a table which compares our Giant standard package with our Giant premium. And you'll see the main differences are the access to salary sacrifice, Giant Advantage, the employee assistance helpline, and the 24/7 GP service. Therefore, if you're currently on our standard package, requesting a private pension will trigger a need to re-accept your assignment schedule on the new margin. And that margin would be £39.50. So just a little bit more information about Giant Advantage. It's an employee benefits program that allows you to save hundreds to even thousands of pounds per year. It has thousands of discounts across a variety of reputable brands, and these can be in the form of vouchers, reloadables, or cashback cards. And at your disposal is an extensive benefits package from car leasing to e-vouchers to use for online for major discounts on holidays, the cinema, or supermarkets. By using Giant Advantage, you could see a significant reduction in everyday expenses. So that brings us to the end of Giant section of this webinar, and I'd like to pass you across to Jason.
Thanks, Jess. Great delivery. Good afternoon, all. I'm going to try and keep this brief and as lively as possible because I do appreciate we are after the witching hour, and also pensions can be a little bit dull. So we'll try and keep it nice and light for those that have tuned in. Jess is going to change my slides for me. On to the first one. Humphries IFA have been looking after Giant financial or Giant Group's financial planning requirements for well over 20 years. Most notably and most importantly, I guess, and most relevant will be the group pension scheme, the group SIP that we operate, and that's currently run and administered by Standard Life, one of the largest financial planning solutions in the land. Next slide. So the agenda for this afternoon, the impact of salary sacrifice, in other words, a pension contribution on your net salary. What do you get if you're paying for advice? What are the contributions? And how and where is your money invested? Let's start with the impact of salary sacrifice. So on the screen we have a fairly typical contractor earning £500 per day over 46 weeks in the year. That grosses £115,000 per year. Tax on that income, including Giant's 15% employer's NI, is just over £53,000, quite considerable. That's without making a pension contribution. With a pension contribution through salary sacrifice, the same income has a reduction in tax down to just over or just under £39,000, and that's a tax saving of £14,264. That's based on a contribution of 20% of the gross pay rate. So typically around about £500 a week going into the pension. Next slide, please, Jess. So with salary sacrifice, you are effectively doubling your money. What do I mean by that? What I in principle mean by that is that for every £2 that you pay into your pension from your gross pay, the net cost to you is about half. So if you're putting £26,000 a year into the pension, the net impact on your net pay will only be just over £13,000, principally because you're not paying employers' national insurance, personal tax and personal national insurance on the amount that you push across into the pension. Based on the same contribution levels, if we go to the next slide, what we can see is the total amount paid in, including a return on investment over 20 years of 3%. That generates a fund value on the left-hand side of just under £950,000. If the fund is within the advised solution through Humphries and not in the default fund, our typical returns over the last few years are more like 9% per annum. So the blue box on the right hand side shows the total pot value at nearly 1.8 million compared to under 950,000 with the non-advised solution. So just to be clear, the light purple lilac box on the left shows you the returns on your investment. If you invest 20% of gross pay over 20 years on the default non-advised solution with Standard Life, the advised solution with our model portfolios generates considerably more, as I mentioned, nearly 1.8 million. And that's a difference of £855,000 over that 20-year term. A quick chart on the screen shows the default fund in pink over the last few years versus one of our models that we would provide through the advice solution. The contribution levels are capped. As you probably know, HMRC will allow you to put £60,000 a year into your pension in the current tax year. You can increase that figure if over the last 3 tax years you haven't exceeded or fully contributed to your allowances in those three previous years. So you've got previous year's allowances. If you haven't already used those, you can allocate those to the current year once you've maxed out the current year's allowance of 60,000. That gives you, in this example, up to £220,000 you could pay into your pension through PAYE. Obviously, you need to earn at least that figure, and perhaps a little bit more in actual fact, because Giant will cap your contributions at between 70 and 75% of gross pay. Otherwise, it makes a mockery of IR35, and Giant are obliged with HMRC rules to flush a certain amount of income through the payroll. So there is a contribution to national insurance and to tax, but that just gives you an idea of your maximum contributions. Now, where money's invested through advice, we are an independent financial planning firm, first and foremost. So we can advise you on investing the money throughout a number of different investment solutions and portfolios. And even through the Standard Life scheme, we have external fund managers that look after people's investments. So we're not putting all of your money into one particular pot. So it's well diversified. And that screen just demonstrates some of the fund managers that we can access through the scheme. Now, in terms of what we do within the advice process, we not only look after you with helping you make a decision on the contribution levels, the tax breaks that are available, fund selection and risk profiling. We'll also help and advise you on reviewing historic pension pots and potentially consolidating those, as well as helping you with cash flow modelling. In other words, projecting what the value of your pension might be in the future years, as well as how much that pot will be worth to you by way of an income when you retire. So all of those areas are within our advice solution piece. In terms of fees, always worth getting this one out there. Typically, a contractor would pay between 0.5% and 1% a year for the advice solution. So if the pot value is £10,000, that's up to £100 a year in fees for the advice solution. I've put on the next screen a few frequently asked questions. This might prompt a few questions from the audience and viewers. Our contact details are available if people have any specific questions around things like what happens to the pension fund when I retire, how can I take a tax-free cash lump sum, will my investment solution change when I get to retirement, can we provide projections on benefits, etc., etc. So all of those questions can be answered, and obviously we're available via the internet, obviously through email and telephone, for any other questions that the viewers might have. Thanks, Jess.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you all for joining. I will share the recording later this afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.